Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I'm Matt Rose here with Jessica Bunbun. We are here to talk all about Fallout Season 1, Episodes 2, and Episode 3. We're going to do both of them in this
Mhm.
video. And we'll just say for the start here, disclaimer, neither of us, at least as far as I know, are Vault Tech employees. We have not endorsed the company in the past. We have no grudges. We are good, though we may have just a grudge against them in general because Vault Tech seems pretty awful. From everything we know in the games, too.
Also, if you're new here to the channel, both of us have played some Fallout, so we
Yeah.
do have some background in the game. But if you've never played the game, it doesn't really matter. I mean, this show is for everybody. They've done a really good job in making this really accessible.
Yeah, I think these two episodes, they further along the narrative a little bit. Like, do I wish there was some more to that? Yeah, it does feel like we're going on a little bit of a wandering journey, though that may be intentional because that's what a lot of playing the Fallout games is
It
like.
absolutely is. It is just a wandering journey through the big wastelands.
It's also just really fun. Like, these episodes are a great time because you've got everything going on here with Maximus finding his way into Brotherhood of Steel, which I like his storyline better
Mhm.
coming out of episodes 2 and 3 than I did in the premiere. We have the adventures of Lucy now transitioning into the adventures of Lucy as well as the Ghoul. Like, there are a lot of stories that we can kind of see, like the little crumbs are here so that they are all eventually going to converge, and we just have to hope that they do that in a really exciting way.
Absolutely.
All right, so before we do go any further here, if you guys are enjoying what we're talking about here and you want to support the channel further, join our Patreon. We got a link in the description below for that. We have live streams over there every week. We're going to be talking a lot about Fallout, and that's a great way to support us, and thank you to those of you who have.
Thank you. Okay, let's start with Wilzig, Michael Emerson,
Yeah.
who we all love and enjoy. He plays a bad guy so well, but in this, feels like he's actually playing a good guy. He is a scientist. He is working with, we'll call him the companion dog, because that's what he is in the game.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
where he's working at a facility with a whole bunch of companion dogs. And he ends up in this situation where he injects something that he's hiding into his head to make sure that he's able to keep it hidden. And it seems like this is the thing that everybody is after. And he ends up leaving the facility with his companion dog on his way. And what ends up happening? Oh my goodness, it just goes completely gangbusters.
It is insane, but it's also really, really fun. As weird as it is to say fun about the idea that this guy actually loses his head at a certain point and it's just carried around by Lucy.
They've absolutely been threading that throughout the whole thing. I mean, the first episode, we saw the posters in the vault that said, don't lose your head. Then we end up in this situation where Wilzig ends up losing his head, being like, you need to take this. If you want to find your dad, you need to take this with you. And then at the end of episode 3, we saw the Ghoul shooting right through the head of a Vault Tech poster.
It's perfect. Well played, well introduced. And, it's once again this idea of there's a reason for everything, but Fallout also just wants to show Michael Emerson's head just like traveling around through the wasteland as we deal with these different forces at play. Because we have Moldaver, who is sort of the quote unquote big bad, if we want to
Mhm.
call her the big bad. I mean, she's clearly done some big bad things, but we don't know fully what her motivations are, other than that clearly, she wants the head. Everybody wants the head. Knowledge is power, even if it's stored in something where I don't know how exactly you're going to get that out.
Yeah, and it seems like Wilzig knows that that's where he's headed to see her. And Lucy also knows that this is the person who took her father. So when the opportunity arises where it's like, okay, listen, Lucy, you can take him, to go see her. That's where your father is. It's a win-win for everybody. Wilzig gets delivered. You get to find out what's going on with your dad. Everything is great. But the Ghoul is in town as well, and he is also looking for this bounty. Let's talk about that shootout with him and Maximus. It was incredible. That fight was wild.
It was so fun. This was, I think, exactly what a lot of us were hoping to see on a Fallout TV show, where
Yes.
you're getting to see all these different characters in weird environments. How do you take on certain people? Maximus has got his full on, Brotherhood of Steel armor. He's got a lot of things working for him. He also has some challenges because clearly he does not know how to properly use it.
Yeah, he's been in a really interesting position now because, when we first met him, he was a squire to Titus. Titus wasn't the greatest guy, but it seems like a lot of people in this group are not the greatest people. I didn't really enjoy this storyline and in the game, and I was kind of like, I'm not sure how I'm gonna like it on the show either, because it is kind of a group of like angry people that don't treat each other very well. And this is the situation here as well, where Titus is like sending him in to deal with this rad bear, and no armor, no nothing, and he's the guy in the power suit, and we see him like end up running off and getting attacked by the bear, and Maximus is able to help him, but like even at the end of it, when he pulls off the helmet and it's Michael Rappaport, I'm just like, he just can't stop like needling him and needling him and needling him. And we've seen with Maximus already where he's kind of taken a moment before he actually helps or does something. And part of it, I always wonder if it's like he's really battling within himself because he's so angry. And he has said that he like joined the Brotherhood to, hurt the people that hurt him and to get sort of back at that and to be able to do better, do better than other people that hurt him. But then he's now part of the Brotherhood where they're all hurting him too. And they're all hurting each other and hurting everybody else. That by the time he finally gets to be a squire, the knight that he is following is calling him names and telling, they're going to kill him if he doesn't give him a stim pack. Like, it's just so terrible. They've done a really good job in these 2 episodes of making me feel a lot for Maximus.
Yeah, I think he's somebody who struggles with the power that I think comes with the power suit, but I think there is still a little bit of a moral compass here. I think
so.
If we're going to talk about Michael Rappaport, and he basically does in this episode, in the second, his version of, oh, you think you're better than me, while he's wearing the suit, while he's like dying. And it is so funny. The entire scene, I know it's supposed to be, oh, this guy's dying. Here's Maximus making this decision. It's so hard to take Michael Rappaport seriously while he's sitting there screaming, stim pack, stim, what, you think you're better? I'm going to go like full crazy New York accent if I keep this up. But I think his arc is very much about, I want to find a place for me. And I think this armor can obviously help, but I don't know if my future is with the Brotherhood of Steel. It might be his own organization, because he makes a very different decision when it comes to, he gets his own squire, which at first, not a fan of, just because he doesn't want anybody to know what really happened. But he ends up actually helping the squire as opposed to just like throwing them out and leaving them for dead.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really complicated character, and in that way, I'm really enjoying his story because with Lucy, I mean, we haven't really gotten to dive that deep into her. She's still sort of in that bright-eyed, oh, there's a little doe, let me give it a leaf. I'm like, oh my goodness, with this story. And I know that she's supposed to be that way. She has been in the vault her whole life. She doesn't know anything different. And, her code is to, do good for others. And that's where she kind of is at this point. I'm hoping that moving into the next few episodes, things are going to get a little bit deeper with her. I don't want her to lose what she has of how good she is. And I'm hoping that her and the Ghoul will actually be able to kind of balance each other out, because we know he wasn't always like this either, where he's just, he doesn't really care about anything at this point. He's had over 200 years of not caring about anybody at this point. So is it possible that she's going to be able to sort of remind him of who he was before, that he had this wife and he had this daughter and he had this very caring life and he is a caring person? Is he still in there?
It's a really complicated question, because I think a lot of what is driving the Ghoul right now is just anger. And I think a lot being said on this show right now about sort of class conflict and dynamics
Mhm.
between, who has money and status and who doesn't, because it's very interesting that, the Ghoul, even back when he's just, Cooper, the actor, he does this commercial for Vault Tech. And,
Mhm.
here he is in the jumpsuit and like he's a spokesperson of sorts for them once upon a time in his life. Why didn't he get a chance to go into the vault? Like, was there
Very
yeah,
curious.
it's something that I think really drives like the big push of the show right now, where I think he has been out there for hundreds of years. And, some people are like, oh, I want to live forever. There's a lot of pain that comes for living for hundreds of years. Like, you've seen a lot of things. And I think he holds a lot of resentment over this idea of, okay, here's this bright eyed person who's been tasked to do this mission, who's just grown up with ultimate privilege. Yeah, sure, she's underground. She doesn't get to see the outside world, but she's never really experienced danger. She's had loving people around her. This could have been me once upon a time, and
Mhm.
it didn't happen. And I think they have to kind of go on a collision course to sort of understand where each other feels. But the irony in that, neither one of these people is equipped to do any of that. Do you think the Ghoul wants to listen to her like hunky-dory peace and harmony stories from the vault? No!
Oh my god, I don't want to listen to those stories. Right now, she is my least most interesting character that, I should be the most involved with, but I'm not. I mean, the Ghoul's story,
Yeah.
it is really compelling. I mean, we've saw him in the past where he was this big actor. He does this favor for his wife where he is the spokesperson for Vault Tech, and it's kind of like we also saw him at the very beginning of this series doing kids' parties where some of the dads were kind of like, how and why did you end up here? Hey, give us the thumbs up, which was clearly what he ended up doing for Vault-Tec. That was the big
Yeah.
thing, right? So it's like, what happened? Did he do this for Vault-Tec and then his career fell off? I mean, and then his status dropped and they dropped him. Like, what happened where he went from being this huge star to not even invited to be in the vault? Like, you're the spokesperson.
There's a real the mighty has fallen quality to him that I think is really, really interesting. And I think the show can unpack more and more of that as we go along. I mean, the big issue with the Vault in general, and I think, minor spoilers here for Fallout 4 the game, I think one of the reasons why they decided to have the lead of that game be somebody who was around before, before the bombs dropped and before everything happened on the outside world
Mhm.
is so that you can kind of have some of that before that's there and you have a sort of narrative drive. For Lucy, it's about, okay, I have to save my father, but
Yeah.
she doesn't know anything about this world. Like, she didn't grow up in it, she never experienced it. So she's very much kind of a blank slate. And because there's only one of her, it's a little bit harder to just laugh at her as much as it is to laugh at the people who are still in the vault, where my guy, who unfortunately I'm blanking on everything. So, guy from Severance, who is currently one of the people who is running things in the vault. He's just the entire group in there is just, there's just an
Guy
utter
from Severance.
this just listen. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Oh, he's been in so
I
much
know, but he
stuff.
is guy from Severance to me for a while. I promise we are going to cover Severance season 2 here. I will learn your name by Guy from before we do that. I know all of Guy from Severance's fans are about to tell me off for not knowing his name. I'm sorry, but seeing all of them together in this vault, trying to figure out what to do with these people, these
The Raiders. Yeah, it
yeah,
was interesting to see that they had actually kept them and they're like, "Oh, we can, rehabilitate them and have them as functioning members of the vault." And then you have people in the vault that are like, "Yeah, we can do this." And then there's like Lucy's brother Norm who's just like, what? They came in here and
yes.
killed a bunch of our people and like you now want them to be like functioning members of our society? What if we don't want to live with them? Like, if my father was here, he would have taken care of this problem already. Like, it's not functioning in here as it is.
Yeah, it's one of these sort of things that we can sit back here and look at, like, okay, you guys are idiots. Why are you doing any of this stuff? But it's a fun perspective to have in this world. That's such a dramatic contrast from everything on the outside. But okay, we have to now get into some real important theory stuff here when it
Mhm.
comes to what is really going on here that Wilzig has access to that everybody wants, because that's really the big thing. So
Mhm.
if we're going to put tinfoil hats here and kind of get
All
into
right.
theories, I think one of the most interesting ideas is this idea of, okay, water. Like they've made a big point within these episodes so far of how important water is, how
Mhm.
valuable it is. You know, the ghoul's not willing to give it to Lucy at one point. We see her offer up water to somebody else in one of
Yeah.
the show's really amusing sequences. And is it possible that Wilzig has some sort of way to, purify water that's
Mhm.
easier? And I know in Fallout 4 they have water purifiers and like those things
Oh my
do.
god, I had a water farm. That's how I got all my caps.
Okay, yeah. I did not. I was just like scrounging up money like some sad sack
Oh
roaming through
no.
the wasteland.
I had so many water
Yeah.
purifiers. I was just collecting water and selling it to my millions of merchants.
Okay, well, what if there's a way to make this easier where you don't have to put in your fictional Fallout town 2 million water purifiers or however many you had, and you can just do it simpler? Because it's established that whatever it is that he has, it's something that is essential to all of the wasteland. And it's
Mhm.
therefore, if you have this, it's powerful and it's
Yep.
something that I think he clearly wanted to be the author of his own fate on, where he wanted to determine who had it and then what they are going to end up doing with it. And so it has to be something that's kind of grand on that level. But I think it also, because this show is technically taking place within the Fallout universe, it's not like a remake or anything else. It's something that has to exist within, future games and future things and not like completely alter what the world is.
Yeah, because it was said that basically whoever has whatever Wilzig has, this little bit of tech, that they're going to be able to basically rule the wastelands, that they're just going to have the power over everything. And what's more powerful than water?
Yeah, I think it's got to be something that's very simple like that, whether it's water, whether it's a way to sort of cure radiation or make
Mhm.
it so that radiation does not get exposed to you in as easy of a way.
Yep.
I think it's some sort of scientific discovery that he feels is really important. And I hope we figure out a little bit more about that over time. And the same here goes for Moldaver. Like, why is she so important to all these different people? Like, it feels just to me at this point like she is just some like powerful organization leader that has sort of spread information around and she's got leverage over just about everybody, and this is just another way to get leverage with the
Mhm.
way in which people are talking and hearing about her. Like there's this expression of fear anytime her name is brought up.
Absolutely. And I mean, if she's, sort of the head of the Raiders or running a huge organization, then yes. Because even Hank, when he saw her in the first episode, was like, I know you. I feel like I know you. And she was like, everybody knows me. So, and that has been how it's been. Anytime her name has been mentioned, everybody knows who she is.
Yeah, like there's some pretty powerful connections here, whether it be to the past, the present, something that's kind of causing chatter even within the vaults, these most cut off areas of society.
All right, let's talk about something that it feels like they're setting up that I really wish they weren't setting up, and that
Okay,
is
all right.
Maximus and Lucy love story. How are you feeling about that? Because it feels like love interest is where we're going here.
I don't need it. Like I really
I don't
don't.
need
I
it.
just I like the show being just, silly and over the top and ridiculous. Like I'm fine if there's no love story at all in season 1. Like do a season 2, start to rope that in there cuz I mean, even just Bethesda games in general, including Fallout, it's like yeah, there's love interest that you can have in these games, but it's
Mhm.
also not really the point. Like you don't play any of these games being like, "Oh, I want my character to go off and get married." Like that's never the number one intention.
No, it's not. But we did start this whole show with Lucy trying to find
Yeah.
someone who's not her cousin to do cousin things. Oh my goodness. And to find an actual husband. And then, she runs in Maximus. There's definitely been some googly eyes going on. Do I need a love story? No, but they already had sort of set up that that is something that Lucy is looking for. And I just kind of wish that they would maybe move forward from it into something else, that maybe in the vault she was like, yeah, love would be great, or having, a husband and all of that and a family. But now that she's out in the wastelands, that maybe it's, wow, look at this whole world that's opened up now.
One thing I did really like here, and I want to give a nice little tip of the cap to, whether it's the visual effects department, whoever came up with the monster that they were
I
all
know,
fighting
right?
in the
Looked
water.
like a giant oxalotl with fingers in his mouth. I was just
Yes.
like, "Oh my goodness, no, amazing."
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously you can watch this and be like, is the CGI perfect if it's CGI? Is there any practical stuff in here? And like, I'm no expert on any of this. All I know is that whoever designed that thing had the time of their lives. Like, that was one of the real times of sitting here being like, okay, these people really do love the games. They're having a lot of fun with this. They're just embracing the weirdness of this show.
Yeah, that whole scene with that monster was epic. It was so good. I mean, we saw, the ghoul using Lucy as bait. Lucy knows that this monster took the head and, had everything going on that Wilzig had in his head. And it ends up now it's in the hands of Maximus because they had this huge fight with this monster
Yeah.
and he threw it up.
Here's the funny thing now. Congratulations, Maximus. You've got this head. Who are you going to give it to? Like, who's your allegiance to at this point? You pretty much, you're kind of with the Brotherhood of Steel, but they're all jerks.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what he decides to do because he's in such a bad situation because he let Titus die. He's pretending that he's Titus. He has a new squire that doesn't know who he is, but was, beating him up on the regular back at, the compound. And now he's in this situation where he's got the head and he's got the tech, and he had thought that as long as he brought back this, relic, that they would be okay with whatever it is he did. That, it doesn't matter if I let Titus die, as long as I bring back what they want. I'm going to get all the pats on the head that I could want. Like, they're going to be like rolling out the red carpet for me. And I think deep down he knows that's not true, that they will end up just taking that from him and he'll be dead.
Yeah, they're going to take it from him. Either they're going to kill him or, Squire guy's going to realize it was him in the suit. And then he's going to be like, oh, you think you're better than me. And then he's going to find a way to take him out. Like, something bad is going to happen here. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this show. I mean, do I want the narrative to move a little bit faster? Yes, I do. Like, that's my biggest flaw with it through 3 episodes. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I am having a miserable time watching a TV adaptation about one of my favorite video games. Like, this is nerd heaven. I'm having so much fun.
I'm having so much fun. I'm really invested, in these characters. Lucy, not as much, but I feel like it's going to come now that she's not traveling alone. Like, it's kind of difficult to really get to know a character who is just traveling alone. And now she's with the ghoul. And so I think it's going to get better from here on out with her.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And you can join our Patreon. We got that link in the description where we have live streams every week. We're going to be talking plenty about Fallout. Make sure of that. And thank you to our patrons for your support.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys here next time.